This project was made possible through the Invasive Species Centre in collaboration with the Green Shovels Collaborative, which is a coalition of conservation organizations including the Nature Conservancy of Canada, Ducks Unlimited Canada, Federation of Ontario Cottagers Associations, Ontario Invasive Plant Council, and the Ontario Federation of Anglers and Hunters, who have come together to form the Invasive Phragmites Control Fund. In support is Ontario's Ministry of Natural Resources and Forestry. The purpose of the Invasive Phragmites Control Fund is to support local on-the-ground action for the coordinated implementation of Phragmites prevention and control activities in Ontario. Our project will specifically focus on the identification and mapping of invasive Phragmites through the local citizens with support from Haliburton County's 4 municipalities and 4 predominant lake associations. This initiative is being completed by the nonprofit organizations ULink Centre for Community-Based Research and the Woodlands and Waterways EcoWatch, which utilizes citizen scientists and post-secondary students to help solve locally based problems. Our goal is to identify and map 240 kilometers of roads surrounding headwater lakes in the county, as well as 20 public water access sites across all 4 municipalities in Haliburton County. We will be using the Invasive Species Centre's recommended tracking tool, the EDD Maps app. By mapping the invasive Phragmites in these locations, ULinks will fill in the data desert that currently exists. This first step will allow future action on the removal of invasive Phragmites while it's still manageable.
We have some property on Georgian Bay, just a small property, but the Phragmites started to come on the beach about 20 years ago. What happened was the lake level started to drop, and the plants started to colonize the beach, which is a totally natural thing for a beach ecosystem. So when the water level goes down, the plants start to creep out and colonize the sand and hold the sand. And then when the lake level comes up, they drown and they wait. And then the lake level goes in, it fluctuates back and forth all the time. And so when the lake levels went down, first there was diversity, there was a lot of stuff starting to grow, and then the Phragmites was one of them. But then I started to realize that it wasn't really sharing the land, it was kind of taking over. So that's kind of how I got into working with invasive species, because they are plants or animals that do not belong here. They have come from some other ecosystem. And because they come from a different ecosystem, they don't have those relationships that all the other ones that are native have. They don't, so they kind of disrupt that harmony to balance. Why should we care? It's North America's most dangerous invasive species. In 2008, it was declared as the worst invasive species, and it's still expanded. It forms really dense monocultures. Birds don't nest in it. It's not food for anything. It's not shelter for anything. So it becomes really a biological desert when it's there. It can spread in so many ways. It has so many survival strategies. So the seeds are like dandelion seeds when they're mature. They're fluffy and they blow in the wind. And especially along highways, if it's growing in the ditches, the wind tunnel effect of those trucks, well, that just keeps spreading the seeds. And then there are underground rhizomes, and a rhizome is an underground stem.
So this is an example of one of the underground rhizomes. And the growth here, these stalks that we're growing here are very small. And but what you can see is that they are giving strength to the rhizome and allowing for this very large one to start growing. And one of the things about these rhizomes, the new growth has a very strong point. And that actually can pierce through asphalt. And so when it grows along the roadsides, it's one of the things that causes infrastructure damage.
This is what Phragmites can be. It was so thick when we were inside our control sections counting, you couldn't see us. We just disappeared. And that's one of the hazards with Phragmites. Once it gets established, especially along roadsides, it can impair the sight lines for people traveling along the road. And there have been incidents where there's been an accident and someone was thrown from the car, and they've had to use a helicopter to locate the injured person. And you know that time is of the essence in a circumstance like that. Let's get down to what it looks like. The base of it is a tan color, and it does tend to grow in disturbed soil. Native species Phragmites, in my experience, only grows where the land has not been disturbed. Like 99.9% no chance of it being on the roadsides because the roadsides are disturbed soil. So that's where you're going to find the majority of your Phragmites that is non-native in disturbed soil. This part of the leaf on a grass is called the sheath, and it wraps around the stem. See way up there, that's where the kind of what we call the leaf, but it's called the blade. So a blade of grass, the leaf part, okay? And the sheath. And what just connects the two is called the ligule. So in Phragmites non-native, the ligule is very narrow. It's skinny, and often in the new leaves you'll see that hairy stuff on it.
So I'm going to just check to see if it has a narrow or a thick ligule. And it does have a little bit of hairs, and you can see that the line that joins between the blade and the sheath is very, very thin. It's almost invisible. So that means that this is a non-native Phragmites. And then because it's non-native, we're going to take it out.
Was having so much trouble with the Phragmites was to say, okay, if I stop them from photosynthesizing, eventually they're going to die. It may not happen tomorrow. It certainly, I found in my research, it happens about after 5 years, but I was not going to lose. What I did was I cut the plant below the soil surface, and that's how I used the spade. And so if you cut below the surface, then all the green parts are gone. If you keep removing all the green parts, the stems, the leaves, everything like that, then that photosynthesis can't keep renewing the energy from the roots and the rhizomes, so it has to use its reserve to put up new. And every time it puts up new, you take it out. So slowly, the energy depletes.